Now that we're all at peace, let's think for a few minutes about Matthew 10. If you want to turn there and let that be the place that you just look at while we talk. I'm going to put a new spin on a text tonight, okay? In fact, I've never thought of this before. This is my first time. I've preached on this many times, but I've never thought of this. All of a sudden, people like Robert, they're starting to water because they're going to go, oh, we're going to see if there's any value to this. And Mark's going to go, oh, I'm going to file this away, and we're going to talk about it. So we'll see. I think it could be right. So we're going to talk about it, okay? All right. Jesus said in this text, I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. Peace is something that the world does not know. In Luke 1:79, it was said of Jesus that he is come to show the way of peace. And in Romans 3, Paul was writing about people who don't know God. And he defines them as people who have not known the way of peace. So if Jesus said, or if it was said of him, that he came as the way of peace, and they have not known the way of peace, it's pretty obvious that the world is not at peace because they don't know Jesus. And that's the point. Now, let's think about it for a few minutes this way. This text, in beginning that way, says the world's peace is not the Lord's peace. They're two different things. So, notice with me some things about that. For instance, the peace of Jesus is sure. It is something you can rely on. It is something you can count on. It is absolutely sure. The peace of the world, however, is seductive, but looks like sure. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, Paul addressed these people who had a seductive message. Concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you know, or I have no need that I should write to you. You yourselves know perfectly the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, for when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes on them. In other words, these people were telling everybody, be at peace, it's okay, everything's fine, you're okay. Maybe it's, I'm okay, you're okay. And that sounds good, doesn't it? I mean, that sounds like a great thing for everybody to be okay. But it's a seductive message. Things are not okay in the world. But now notice what Jesus' message is sure. The world's is seductive, looks like sure. Then notice what he says. I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. Now, why did he say that? Why a sword? I think there's a real reason behind it, and this is the new take that I have on the text. A sword. Now, I know what a sword is. You do too. But a sword, the word sword, in the New Testament is used 29 times. And 26 of them are referencing the actual sword, the thing that they used in battle. 3 of them are about a concept. 3 of them are about a concept. Not the actual sword, but a concept. The first one I would look at is Ephesians 6 and verse 17. In the list of the armor that a Christian should carry, he says, and be sure to take with you the sword of the Spirit, which is what? The Word of God. Make sure you have with you the sword of the Spirit. Hebrews 4 and verse 12. About that sword, it says, the Word of God is living and powerful, and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. A two-edged sword. No matter how you wield it, whether this way or this way, it still cuts. A two-edged sword cuts going in and it cuts coming out. You ever been in a class on the difference between the soul and the spirit? Guess what? I taught an entire quarter on the soul and the spirit. I still don't have an idea what the difference is. I'm pretty sure they're used interchangeably, but there has to be something. I don't know what it is necessarily, but I can tell you this. How do you define that? They are so close. How do you cut between them? Then you have the joints and the marrow inside the body. Those are so close and so interrelated. How are you going to cut between them? The Word of God has a spiritual ability to cut, to reveal, to divide, to make a point. Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. Now, the problem with the verse that people have is that on the surface, it doesn't make sense. In fact, it seems contradictory. If Jesus is the way of peace, if, as the Old Testament prophesied, He is the Prince of Peace, then why would He say, I didn't come to bring peace? Why would He say one thing and do another? Sounds contradictory. Here's the problem. If you read this text as an intentional statement, you miss the point. Don't read it as intentional, but read it as an effect. And that's what the text is about. He is not saying, my intention is that I don't want peace in the world, I want a sword. That's not His intention. But what He wants is the effect. And He wants that. Now, we were talking at the Connect group earlier today that I was in. We mentioned a little this morning, what is real peace? Is real peace about getting rid of trouble, trials, distress, afflictions, persecutions? Or is real peace learning to live well in troubles and trials and dissensions and persecutions? Jesus never came to remove all of the difficulties of life. Because if he had, then he would be overriding the free will of mankind. Because it is free will that has created all of the chaos. So when I read the text, I have to read it as an effect. Did he, in fact, create division? He said, I've come to set a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, parents against children. Those of their own household will be the ones that they have trouble with. Didn't he say that? Yeah. But I don't think his intention either was to create division. But his intention was to bring a sword. What was the intention of Jesus? There's a passage in John chapter 18 and verse 37, and this is what clinched it for me, okay? He's before Pilate, Jesus is. And Pilate said, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answered, "You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born." For this cause, what? The cause, the reason, why am I here? For this cause I have come into the world, that I should what? Bear witness to the truth. And everyone who is of the truth does what? Hears my voice. I didn't come to bring peace, I came to bring a sword. That is the effect. What's the intention? The intention is to say, here is my word, and if you want to listen to my voice, you're one of mine. What was the intention of Jesus? To reveal the word. What is the word called? The sword of the Spirit. Jesus came to bring the word. He is the word. John 1 and 1 and verse 14. He came to bring the word. Peace is a byproduct of the word. Those who listen to him find peace. Those who don't listen to him live in chaos, without peace. Now, if we listen to the word, we'll still have chaos, but we'll be at peace. Jesus' intention was to bring the sword of the Spirit to reveal to each person who they really are. Paul said of himself, 1 Corinthians 13, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, thought as a child, understood as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And then he said, then I will know, even as what? I am known. He was referring in that passage to the Word of God, and he was saying, when this Word comes, it will reveal to me who I really am. And that's what the sword of the Spirit does. It reveals to every person who they really are. If you listen you are faithful. If you don't, then your heart is not right. I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. I didn't come simply to make people peaceful. I came to show them the Word of God so that they, in the Word of God, can find real peace. Now, you think about that. That's my new understanding of his meaning. But to close, think for a minute about how the world handles the chaos. And maybe sometimes we are guilty of handling our chaos in the same way that the world does. They, in chaos, want to blame somebody for having caused it. Moses came off Mount Sinai with the law of God. He saw all the people over there worshiping a golden calf. And he looked at Aaron and he says, what happened? They did it. They did it. It's not my fault, it's their fault. Saul was sent off to destroy the Amalekites. And he came back when God had said, kill everyone and everything. And he brought back animals to sacrifice, and he brought back the king. What did you do, Saul? Oh, the people wanted it. And Saul never had peace again. From that moment on, God left him. He tried to blame somebody else. It didn't work. Sometimes to handle the chaos, we try to run away from it. Elijah tried it. In 1 Kings 19, after winning that great victory over all those false prophets, Queen Jezebel said, I'm going to kill you. He had just stood on the mountain and portrayed God's great power right there for everybody. But when Jezebel said, I'm going to kill you, he took off and ran away. In fact, he ran for 40 days. That's how far he was running. God said to Jonah, you go to Nineveh and preach. And he got in the ship and went the exact opposite way. In that place away from God, neither Elijah nor Jonah found peace because they tried to run away. Sometimes in chaos and trouble, we simply try to deny that it even exists. Deny the reality. Jesus said of the scribes and Pharisees in Matthew 23, they know the word, listen to them, but don't do what they do. And then he goes on to talk about everything they had done, and they were so ignorant of themselves that they could simply deny, oh, that's not true, it's not true. That's not us. The church at Laodicea in Revelation 3, God writing through John told them, you don't even know that you're blind and naked and destitute. You've denied who you really are, and therefore you've become lukewarm. They didn't find peace by turning the eye away, hiding away, looking in a different direction. They didn't find peace. You see, the world tries to handle peace, find peace in other ways and in ways that don't work. It is not effective. The world's way is not Jesus' way, and the world's way is not an effective way, because when they get where they're going, when they get to whatever it is results from the way they handle the peace, they don't find peace. They're still just as void. Their lives are still just as chaotic as they've ever been. And fourth, they try to escape the peace by indulging themselves in something else. 2 Timothy 4 and verse 10, Demas has forsaken me. Why? He loved the present world. And those who immerse themselves in alcohol and drugs and other forms of addiction, aren't they really just masking the chaos of their lives? Trying to make it feel better? They're not dealing with it. They're just pushing it away for a while. But let's close with this idea. Why does the world, it was mentioned in the Connect group today, it was a great point that I wanted to make sure that we got to hear. Isn't the world constantly trying to make our lives chaotic? There's a continual push to fight against goodness, to call us into accepting things that are not right and persecuting us when we don't. Why? It certainly is not because they like chaos. I don't think they like division. Because if they like division, they would celebrate the fact that we are divided. They think that, we think this, they're over there, we're over here. They would celebrate that. We want division, this is great. No, they want no division. They want to push everybody into the same pot right over there. Have you thought about that? So what are they doing? I believe the world is doing that because if they can bring us into their chaos, they fool themselves into thinking that they are now at peace. The world can't stand our peace. They can't take it. It grates on their nerves. It bothers them because they are not at peace. And when they are not at peace, they don't want us to be at peace. And so they're constantly jabbing at us and trying to create chaos. What is the phrase we use? Misery loves company. You see, the world doesn't deal with their peace. They just want us to be in chaos like them. And somehow that makes them feel better. That happens in all kinds of ways in life. Because if we can bring somebody down, we have felt like we've actually picked ourselves up. Problem is, if I'm in a pig pen and I bring somebody to the pig pen, I'm still in the pig pen. Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. I came to bring the word. I came to call people to the truth. And the sword of God reveals in each person's heart, soul, spirit, joints, marrow. It reveals who they really are. Maybe that's why we don't read the Bible enough. Because the more we read it, the more we are convicted that I'm just not what I need to be. Well, I hope today we've been able to contrast so well the peace of the world and the peace of God. knowing that all of us are here because we want the peace of God. We want real peace. Maybe tonight, one of us or more would like the rest of us to pray for your peace. As we always do, we sing as a way of saying, if we can help you, if we can pray for you, if we can work with you, we want to do it. So let's stand and sing this song together.